record this for people who aren't going to make it. Welcome. It's now February. We all survived the month of January together. I want to welcome you to our very formal and official award ceremony for the Backyard BRRR Virtual Challenge. I am going to say just a couple things at first, then I'll share my screen. I do have a very sort of brief presentation that'll guide the conversation that we have. I do have a few folks that are going to say a few words. Chris Fay is the executive director of HOMESTRETCH. Chris is here. Thanks for coming, Chris. He's going to say a few words. Eric Scudder from IAP Financial is here. He's going to say a few words. And with that, so a couple of housekeeping things before we start. So I do have my chat window open. And so if you want to get in touch with me and you're like waving your arms and I'm not listening or something, you can always type a message in chat and I will likely see that. So that's a good way. And I'm going to keep people's lines generally muted just to kind of keep the noise down. I do have one funny story. So we're having at my house, like today, they're putting in like an egress window from our basement because we have a couple of small kids. We want like an emergency exit while they're down there playing. And at like 4 o'clock today, it got extremely loud in my house, like drilling going on. And I'm like, oh God, I told my wife, I'm like, I think I have to I better go down and tell them like 5 o'clock, guys, you gotta be done. And so that was my minor panic moment for this afternoon, but it's quiet now. So I think I think everything's gonna be okay. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see, Eric, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah, good. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. This is the summary of awesomeness, also known as results. Let's see. Our agenda is as follows. So we are going to, I have some thank yous. Chris is going to say a couple words from HOMESTRETCH, our wonderful nonprofit partner. I'll give you an update on the swag and I'll show you what it looks like. And then I'll say thank you to our corporate partners, which were awesome this year. And then I'll go into the results and I'll do a couple different things. I'll talk about like big picture results, which is just sort of like the gee whiz, like we did X number of millions of miles. And then I'll talk about individual top finishers in the different categories and then the team top finishers, and then we'll wrap up. My goal is to get through, a half hour, 45 minutes tops, and we will go that way. All right, let's see. So first, thank you. This is the 3rd annual Backyard BRRR Virtual Challenge. The first one was back in January 2021, sort of during the height of still not really knowing what the future was going to hold with COVID. And I, had the idea to do something virtual. We'd started with 1 or 2 virtual things in the spring of 2020, and they were fun and kind of had some participation and gave people sort of like a goal of something to work for because we weren't having any in-person events at that time. And Run Sign Up had this capability to do a challenge format, which is you can set the goal and do a bunch of different types of activities. And it had this leaderboard. And I was like, oh, that's really kind of cool. And so the Backyard BRRR was a play off of the Backyard Burn, which is our popular spring and fall trail running series. And so we had it in January of 2021. And it was the single biggest event that EX2 ever had in our, at that time, 21-year history. So I was like, wow, that was amazing. That first year I learned how to ship 1,000 packages, which was quite the experience. The first time I had to figure that out. And it was great. And so we did it again last year. And it was equally as successful. And we were able to double the amount of money that we raised for HOMESTRETCH. The first year we raised about $13,000. Last year we raised a little over 25. But going into this year, I was like, well, year 3, this COVID is still definitely around, but it's much less of a thing, certainly on our minds probably than it was a couple of years ago. And I had no idea what the reaction was going to be or how many people were going to participate. So I was absolutely thrilled that the interest was still there. And I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who participated. Not only is it, good for all of us to have a goal and do something fun outside in the month of January, but it's also great for EX2. It does bring a little bit of revenue into our little small business, and it raises a ton of money for HOMESTRETCH. So this year, I'll talk more about it when we get there, but we were over $30,000 for HOMESTRETCH, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. So thank you. The other thank yous are the engagement. So we had tons of people posting pictures, both on the Run Sign Up platform, on just regular social media land, and then on our EX2 Racers and Volunteers Facebook group. And I love that. It really does make it seem like a real thing, even though we're all doing our sort of individual things wherever we happen to live. It's great to see pictures of yourself and friends and family getting outside and participating. So that's really awesome. And as a person who's a Gen Xer who sort of feels weird sort of posting on social media sometimes, I try to post as much as I can, and I sort of try to break down all my weirdness that I feel about posting sometimes, and post a lot myself. So anyway, so thank you for that. And then the referrals. So a lot of people who signed up know someone, right? So friends or family or whatever. And so I want to thank you all for dragging, maybe kicking and screaming your friends or family or coworkers into the Backyard BRRR. I hope everybody had fun, and it really does make a big difference. So thank you very much for participating. All right, HOMESTRETCH. And Chris, I'm going to have you say a few words in just a minute. But I want to just sort of say, hey, big picture. So I mentioned the first year with this event, we raised about $13,000. Last year, we were a little bit over 25. And this year, the grand total is $32,234, which is just fantastic. I couldn't be happier. And so I'm very, very grateful for the 432 people who made individual donations. Those individual donations range from a couple bucks to several $100s. And the great thing that I've learned over the last couple of years about having nonprofit partners for our events is that, if you have even a couple hundred people participate and even donate $5, just adding it on to the registration, you add all that stuff up, and it really, at the end of an event and at the end of the year, results in something amazing. And it's really been a pretty special thing to be a part of, and I'm very proud of it, and very proud of our community for continuing to support the effort to help organizations like HOMESTRETCH. So just to give you an idea of the impact, all those little donations over the years. So we first had nonprofit partners in May of 2020, so not too long ago. And since that time, we've raised over $119,000 just to HOMESTRETCH, and almost $170,000 if you look at all our nonprofit partners. And so it's pretty awesome. And so I'm very grateful. I know, and I'm very aware that none of this would happen without the generosity of the EX2 community, of our participants. And I'm very aware of that. I'm very grateful for everyone's support. So thank you very, very much for helping to make a difference and supporting these great organizations that do so much for our local communities. And with that, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to pin Chris, which I think I was able to do. And oops, there you go. So Chris, if you could unmute yourself, I think we'd be able to hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me?
It worked. And hopefully you all see Chris. So take it away, Chris.
Well, thank you, Andy. And especially thank you, Andy, that you know about HOMESTRETCH, and you've chosen to highlight HOMESTRETCH among all the wonderful athletes and health enthusiasts who participate in all of these runs and these events. We're very grateful to be known, because it's important that people understand that we are there, and that what we do is critically important to the community. The mission of HOMESTRETCH is to empower homeless families with children to secure permanent housing and retain the skills, knowledge, and hope they need to attain lasting self-sufficiency. So what we do is we take homeless families from the shelters or from other places that may have discovered them and realized they were in crisis. It could be a church, it could be a business, it could be a hospital. It could be the police or the FBI if they find someone, for instance, who's been trafficked. And they send them to us. And these are usually cases that have compound problems. They're not just homeless, but there may be a disability. They may be fleeing domestic violence and recovering from extreme trauma. There may be chronic health conditions. In any case, they're the families with grave needs and concerns, and they are homeless and they have children under the age of 18. So we put them in a home, and then we create individualized plans for those families based on their skills, based on the barriers they face, based on their needs, and based on their aspiration. What do they want? What would they love to do if they could turn this crisis into an opportunity to completely alter the course of their life? They tend to stay with us a little longer. The average is about 2 years. And we have a depth of services that can address virtually everything that may have gone wrong in the family. So we help them find jobs. We'll pay for scholarships to go to school, either academic or vocational. We have a whole literacy program to help them make sure that they can speak the language. They can fill out, they can create resumes, and they can be equipped to compete with others who are very fluent. We have a financial literacy program that helps them get out of debt, repair their credit, and build savings, and essentially understand how money works. We have a whole depth of child services to make sure the children are enrolled in school or in daycare, and that they're healthy and happy, and they're getting all the things they need to be rise to excel. And we also have a licensed preschool for 3 to 5 year olds. It's really a very in-depth program that makes sure that every aspect of their life is addressed. If they have legal problems, if they have health problems, if they need education, they need training, they need therapy, all these things we sort of put in place and create that pathway out of poverty. Frequently, those families stay with us for a couple of years, but during that time, they make very, very significant changes, such that when they leave, very few ever return to homelessness. One of the things we're proudest about our model is that we're really invested in demonstrating how effective we are over the long term. Not just do we place someone in a home, but can they keep that home 2 years later, 3, 4, 5 years later? We're just completing an outcome study that went back 7 years. So we're tracking families that have been out for up to 7 years to find out, are they still employed? They still housed? How is their debt? How is their savings? Have they increased their education? Have they increased their income? Have other things happened that have added to the stability of the family? And we do this with other nonprofit partners who help us analyze the data and validate the data. And so far, this is our 4th outcome study. We have determined, based on research and comparative analysis with other programs in the country, that no other program in the country is as successful as HOMESTRETCH in terms of that long-term efficacy and success of families that come through our program. So for example, just a reminder that families that come to us are broke, they're in crisis. Most of them are single moms. 9 out of 10 families are led by a single mother. 60% have experienced domestic violence and are human trafficking. That's how they come to us. And yet in the last 10 years, we've had these parents become nurses and teachers and accountants and chefs, social workers. One opened their own business, opening a restaurant in Old Town Alexandria. Just this last year, one of the women who became a nurse was listed in the Washingtonian magazine as one of the top 50 nurses in the region. And one of our recent graduates opened her own culinary business, was featured on the Food Network and Discovery Channel on a chef competition show. So we're demonstrating that given the right support, people in crisis, mothers with children who are homeless, can really take that opportunity, seize it, and make significant changes to their lives that will propel them not just out of poverty, but have an impact on the children. The majority of the children that come through HOMESTRETCH go to college and actually go on and exceed the income and education of their parents. So I'm saying all this so that all of you understand that the financial support you give into HOMESTRETCH leads to terrific outcomes. It leads to a real impact on these families. I encourage you to look us up online. We're homestretchva.org. We're a local organization. We're based in Falls Church. All our housing is in Northern Virginia. All the families we serve are Northern Virginian families. We're a small organization that we only serve 50 families at a time, but we're an effective organization with a 90% success rate. Andy's known about us for many years and followed us, and I encourage all of you to find out how your money has led to such profound change for families in crisis. Thank you very much.
Chris, thank you very much for everything you do and your entire team at HOMESTRETCH. Thank you for being here and sharing all the good work you do. I feel very honored to be able to support what you do. You oftentimes you compare sort of your journey in life, and I look at all, the impact that you guys have on parents and children, and as a parent myself, I oftentimes when I think about like, why do I have this affinity towards HOMESTRETCH? A lot of it for me comes back to, as a parent, I think about if I was ever in that situation, how wonderful it would be to have an organization like HOMESTRETCH that could help me get back on my feet or my wife's feet or whatever, right?
Right.
It really is amazing. So it's it has a special place in my heart. So thank you very much for everything you do, and we all appreciate it very much. And again, thank you to everyone who made a donation.
Yes.
All those little bits, as you see on the screen, they add up.
Yeah.
It really is a very powerful thing. Thank you.
Great. Thank you too.
All right. So next, swag stuff. So yesterday, the 7 wonderful people that you see in the picture on the right came to EX2 headquarters, which, if you didn't know, is my house. And they came and packed up 950 swag bags. I took them all to the post office this morning, and luckily the people let me go around back and drop them all off at their like mass mail thing. Last year, they made me take individual boxes to the front door of the post office, and I was like praying that I wouldn't have to repeat that process this year. So everything, I have a couple that I'm actually going to drop off at the post office this evening, but everything should be like on its way wherever it's going to go by tomorrow morning at the latest. So you get a shirt. There's 2 different kinds of shirts, depending on what you wanted. One is like a tech shirt material. You can see that here. They both came out pretty great, I think. And then this is like the tri-blend soft sort of material. We have a buff multi-purpose headwear thing, which if you don't have one, they're like one of the greatest inventions of all time. And then there's the standard metal that's a coaster, and you can't see my desk, but I have several of these type metals as coasters, and I'm quite fond of them. So hopefully you'll either hang it on the wall or place your morning coffee on it and think about the Backyard BRRRR. So thank you again to 7 members of the EX2 team who came over and did a lot of the heavy lifting to get all that stuff shipped. There is one note. So a small portion of you will get a little green letter from me that says you are going to get not only 1 swag bag, but you'll get 2. One of the last shipments of the buffs and the metals was a little bit delayed getting here. So, but it will be here in like a week and a half. And so I mailed you your t-shirt with a little note that says, lucky you're going to get 2 packages in the mail, which if you're like me, you like to get things in the mail. So in about 2 weeks, if you happen to get a package that doesn't have a buff and a metal, have no fear, it's coming to you. It'll be there in about 2 weeks, but it's not a lot of people, but it will affect maybe somebody on this call. All right, let's see. Okay, corporate partners. Not the first year, but the second year of the challenge, I had this idea to ask companies if they wanted to participate in this virtual challenge. And really there was, I figured that this would be a great way to amplify our fundraising efforts for HOMESTRETCH. Secondarily, it would be a way to introduce maybe people who don't know about EX2 to everything that we do, right? And I will say it's been very successful. Last year we had, I think, the same number of corporate partners. But this year we not doubled, but almost doubled the amount of fundraising that we're able to generate from those corporate partners. And so I'm really, really grateful to folks like Tucker Newberry from NT Concepts and Darren Powers from ABSC, who thought it would be a great idea to get involved and not only donate money, but asked a lot of their employees to get involved. And so 10% of the participants this year came on corporate teams, which is cool. So NT Concepts and ABSC definitely sort of led the way in terms of both donations and participation. My buddy Matt Pinkham, who I used to work with, who I know Chris knows, has a company called Objective down in Charlottesville, and him and his wife participated and also made a very sizable donation. So thank you, Matt, if you happen to be in the call. Vince Sheehy, who's the president of Sheehy, has been supportive of EX2 for a couple of years now, and Sheehy had a team and they had a big donation, so that was fantastic. And also Mobomo and my friends from Excella, where I used to work many, many moons ago, also had several teams this year and made a donation as well. So I'm really grateful for the corporate participation. Again, it helps people learn about HOMESTRETCH, learn about EX2. It raises a bunch of money, and hopefully it was something really, really fun for these organizations to do. So hopefully, like, it's good for everybody. And so next year, if you work for a place maybe who you think might be interested, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll figure out how to make it happen. All right. I also want to thank my friends who have been involved with EX2 and sponsored us for well over a decade, 15 years. Eric Scudder from IP Financial and Joey Baird from Baird Automotive. I am going to try to find my friend Eric here. Let's see if I can find Eric. Oh, there he is. Hold on. Eric, if you would just introduce yourself and say hi. Hopefully, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'll be real brief. Just want to say hello. Just like all of our in-person races, we'll do a drawing for some REI gift cards. I don't know, Andy, if you're able to accept any more entries into it. He'll let you know if and how to do that. But as always, I offer a complimentary consult to anybody new to the race. So we do retirement planning, college savings, and investments. No cost or obligation. Just look what you're doing now. See if there's anything you might do differently in the future. It's a great time after the new year. Even if you're working with somebody, you get a second opinion. There's no locks on ideas and strategies, and it never hurts to see what else is out there. So thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure being a part of this. I'm looking forward to many more years as a sponsor.
Thanks, Eric. And Eric has been my F&I's financial advisor for well over a decade now, long before I was running EX2. And so he's a good guy. We trust him very, very much. So if you have a need for that, you should get in touch with Eric. So I am going to send an email out tomorrow with the final results, and it'll have a link to like Eric's little thing. I will pick 2 winners from that, probably like Wednesday. $25 to REI. Who doesn't like to go buy something at REI? Joey Baird, I don't know, Joey, if you're on the line, maybe you can type in mute. I didn't see it pop in, but Joey, if you don't know Joey, you really should. Joey's shop is in Arlington on Washington Boulevard. He, for all our races, gives us a $100 bill to give away. It's the last thing we give away at every single event. It's super fun. And Joey is not only really, really good at what he does, but he's like one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet in your life. So if you live anywhere near Arlington, Virginia, and you're not taking your car or truck or whatever vehicle you have to Joey, you really should. He's awesome. All right, so here are some big picture results. We had almost 1,000 people 999. I was curious if it was ever going to tick over to that 1,000 thing, but it never did. So 999, age range 6 to 82, which I think is just fabulous. And it kind of mirrors all our events, really. If you've been to one of our in-person races, we generally have a pretty wide age range, 33 states, also the District of Columbia and several different countries. I think we had a Luxembourg this year. We had a couple in Great Britain and I believe one in Canada. 134 teams, which is just fabulous. And we did break the miles record from last year. So we got 122,595 total miles. 44% of all those miles were outside, which is fabulous. 25,000 non-push-up activities were submitted. So this year, if you've done it in the years in past, I just had you write the number of push-ups in the comment field. That got a little bit complicated from a data perspective. And so this year I sort of added an activity type called push-up, and you added it this way. But I took those out of the count of the activities. 25,000, that's a lot. 51% of those were outside, which is fabulous. 214,382 push-ups. I'll talk about that in a second when I talk about our friend June, who for the second year in a row is the push-up champion, doing ungodly amounts of push-ups. 164 people recorded 31 plus activities outside, which is probably a little low. I bet people either forgot to put outside or just sort of forgot to put activities in. So I would bet it's actually a lot higher than that. And about half recorded at least 31 miles outside, which is absolutely fantastic. Some other GWIS stats, just like miles breakdowns. This is always kind of interesting to see. So cycling, not surprising, is the biggest, or the majority of the mile, not the majority, almost half the total miles, 53,000 and change. Running, not too shabby, is about the same as walking. So running, we had about 32,000 miles, and walking, we had about 30,000 plus. And one little note about walking. So if you asked me like 10 years ago, do you like to walk or do you get out for, walks as exercise? I'd be like, no, I really don't. Maybe it was just a reflection of my age and sort of where I was at a fitness level. But in 2018, I had a back problem and I had to get it fixed. And it was, the only thing that I could really do for exercise back after this happened was walking. And I absolutely fell in love with the activity of walking. And now I walk all the time. There'll be days when I don't feel like running, I don't want to run, I don't want to ride a bike, whatever. I will always go out for a walk, even if it's 20 minutes. I find I do my best thinking when I'm outside for a walk, and it really is just this wonderful gift of an exercise, and it's something that you can do hopefully way past maybe when you're running days are over. And so I'm a big fan of walking. So it's great to see so many people walking for exercise, which is awesome. Swimming, I don't know how people swim 1,000 miles. You'll see the winners swam like 60 miles or something, like 2 miles a day. As a recovering triathlete who always hated swimming, that is just ridiculous. So 1,000 miles, paddling or rowing, same thing, 1,300 miles, that's a long way. And then skiing, almost 4,000 miles of skiing. That's a lot. All pretty cool. All right, so individual top finishers. If you happen to be looking at the leaderboard throughout the month, you will know that the lead role popped back and forth several times, and I really didn't know who was going to come out on top. So Izzy was up there for a while. Kevin led the way for a long time, and Unli at the end came out on top. Not only the top woman competing, but also the top overall, 1,700 miles, which is a lot. And quite a lot of those miles were outside too, and you'll see that in a second. Kevin came in second. Again, he was leading for a while. Kevin, a cyclist, if you noticed early on, he came out of the gate like a rocket. And the reason why is he did the Pittsburgh to DC bike trip on like day 1, 2, and 3 of the challenge. And so he like started off at like 400 miles or something silly, like by day 3. And so, but that's Kevin for you. So total miles outside, again, Eun Lee, top woman, over 1,000, and Kevin also ended up on top overall outside miles. Our friends Jessica, so Jessica Lucas Judy, top woman running, both overall and outside. Our friend Jason Lilly, and I have a story about Jason. And so if you've done this challenge the last couple of years, you may recognize Jason's name. I think he's done it all 3 years, and I believe he's won it all 3 years in terms of running. Well, I got an email from Jason, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, and he said, Andy, I'll let you do whatever you want with this, but I want to share something that happened to me. And he said, in July, I had a massive heart attack, and came completely out of the blue. And he is very much, I think, has a little bit of an uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen overall. He is determined, from what he told me, to keep as active as possible, which you can imagine from an ultra runner like he is. Someone telling you, hey, you got to be careful and not run so much. He's like, yeah, whatever, most likely. But he is, I share that story with you, and just like I shared several other stories with you over the past month, in the hopes that you sort of live every day, right? I know that's very hard for many of us because our life gets busy. We have a million different distractions from every direction, but you never know. And so Jason is doing that, living every day. And after something that would probably, if it happened to somebody else, be the end of their running career. Well, Jason just won and put up the most miles of anybody else in the challenge with 315, even after what happened to him in July. So that's a testament to not only what he's got inside, but what he's got up here as well in terms of mental strength. So good on you, Jason. We'll be thinking of you. Running outside, again, my friend Jessica, overall top, overall and outside. And then Mr. Humphrey, 300 miles outside, which is not too shabby in a month's time. Our walkers, not surprisingly, they did a lot of their walking outside. So Karen, who takes lots of trips around Burke Lake, and she was one of the stories that I set out in one of my Friday emails. 252 miles, all outside for Karen. And then James just came in around 300 miles overall. And again, the overwhelming majority of it being outside as well. So congratulations to all the top finishers. Really just amazing efforts that takes not only a lot of physical perseverance, but also a lot of mental perseverance and grit to do that. Again, whether you're riding or walking, it doesn't really matter. It's still a lot. All right, biking. So here's the rest. So biking, Eun Lee, both overall and outside. 1,000 miles outside is no joke. And so congratulations to Eun and Kevin, who both accomplished that feat. Swimming. This is the thing that again, as an awful swimmer who was, no kidding, just like happy to get over with my triathlon days. So Marianne and Sandy, I believe they won last year as well, or were very close to the top. So there's a whole group that as an L4 Masters swimming group that several people participating are involved with that, and they swim ungodly amounts. And so Marianne, congratulations, 54 miles. Sandy, congratulations, 60 miles. And there were several other people who were up there as well, but that's a lot. So 2 miles a day swimming, that's a ton. So congratulations. Paddling, rowing, Kim Bailey came in on top for the ladies, 91 miles. And then Michael Pease, over 200 miles of paddling or rowing in the month. So congratulations. Skiing, Jill, 146 miles. And our friend Clay Deming. Clay is the activities director for a great organization called the Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts, or MORE. If you haven't checked out that, you should. It's a great mountain biking advocacy. So Clay, he must have been doing a lot of skiing, as well as Jill. So congratulations to you all. And then push-ups. So last year, funny story about push-ups is, so June used to work for NT Concepts. what the first week I was looking at the results, I was like, man, this has got to be a mistake, because it was like thousands and thousands and thousands of push-ups. And so I sent a text to Tucker Newberry, who is my buddy and works for NT. I'm like, hey, who's this guy June? And is it real? Like, do I need to like call him out on it or something? And he's like, no, he's legit. Well, last year he won, and I should know, I don't know what the total was, but this year, 37,700 push-ups. And I'll let you do the math of how many that is per day, but that's a lot. I will also want to say, so as someone who did like, I think I did like 500 push-ups in the month or something like that. I also want to give equal amazing shout out to our friend Elizabeth Fiore, who broke the 10,000 push-up mark in the month. And again, you can do the math. That's a lot of push-ups in 31 short days. And so Tucker texted me this picture of, this is June with his daughter. So I think that must be the secret, is to have company when you're trying to do that many push-ups. But congratulations to both Elizabeth and June and all the other top finishers. All right, so team top finishers. So here's another thing, that if you're watching the leaderboard, I honestly thought, you know, the CCC chicks were just they had it in the bag. I mean, like the whole month, I was like, nobody is gonna catch these ladies, nobody. And you know, last year it was a little bit of a shootout between the DC Tri Group and District Multisport. And I was sort of watching where that was going to go. Well, the last couple of days, I noticed that the DC Tri Group was sort of inching up, and I was like, well, what's going on there? What's going to happen? And then when I, you know, closed everything out, looked, and sure enough, those pesky DC Tri, Brian Frank and his crew, pulled out the top spot with over 4,600 miles. And so congratulations to the DC Tri. And you'll see the CCC chicks had a very solid showing across many different disciplines, as well as many other teams as well. But DC Tri, you came on top, so congratulations to you all. Thanks again for participating, and good on you for putting the pedal down the last week or so to really get it done. Total miles outside, CCC chicks over 3,000 miles outside as a team, which is absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to you all. Soul Sisters, who are in the photograph on the right, came out on top again with in the running category. So just shy of 1,400 miles as a team. So congratulations to you all. Walking and biking, CCC chicks, awesome. So tons of biking outside, tons of walking outside, really, really impressive. So congratulations. Excuse me, swimming, Stinky Old Guys and Beautiful Mermaids. This is the Tucker Newberry crew with the L4 Masters group. Lots of time outside, lots of swimming. Congratulations to you all. 286 miles of swimming in the month of January. Paddling, our friends from the Chill Folk team, 217 miles for you all. Skiing and push-ups, we had two different teams from NT Concepts. So NT Concepts 5, Run Like the Winded, led the way when it came to skiing, and then push-ups, largely driven by our friend June, 39,115 push-ups. So here's the challenge. Next year, somebody has to unseat Mr. June, or even a team. So we'll see. It's probably not going to be me. I'm just telling you. It's unbelievable. Anyway, all right. All right, corporate team top finishers. Here's another thing. I know there were at least two teams keeping an eye on the corporate side. The NT Concepts, pedals, padders, paddles and paws, and the ABC YA team. So ABC YA, the captain was Darren Powers. The history there is that Darren used to be the CEO over at NT Concepts, left NT Concepts, and now is the CEO at ABSC. So there may have been a little bit of corporate sort of challenge going on between these two companies. And at the very end, Mr. Darren and his crew took the lead and came out on top with the overall miles in the challenge. So congratulations, Darren. Congratulations to your team. was awesome, 2,200 miles. And then the NT Concepts team put on a wonderful showing, and they came in with the first place outside miles, so almost 1,000. So congratulations. And again, I'm very grateful for their support. They really did amplify our fundraising efforts significantly. And so I'm really, really grateful. And they made it super fun. I think between them, they had like 10 teams. So it's great. So that is okay. So one other thing I want to show you. So I am going to send out the email with all this information tomorrow. I'll send out a recording of this video, and then if I don't know if you noticed, but at least the last Friday, I gave you like a lot of information in like a Google sheet, and it had like the whole list of like running miles and outside miles and all that sort of stuff. If you're like a data person and want to geek out on this stuff and like see kind of like where you ended up, because there are so many amazing feats of athleticness over the last month. If you want to look at where you are, I will send that information out, because what I don't want to, I want to highlight sort of who came out on top, but I am well aware of two things. One is there are amazing, I'll call them performances, but amazing efforts by everyone over the last month. I'm also keenly aware that all of us at one point or another in January just had weird stuff happen in our life, because that is just life, right? So there are probably, maybe on many occasions, you're thinking, oh my goodness, like this happened. How am I going to squeeze my workout in? Or how am I going to get outside or whatever? And many of us made it happen. And so I'm very aware of that. And so I want to say, sort of to wrap up, just congratulations for persevering through all the stuff that just happens in the course of life. I hope you had fun, and next year we are going to do it again in 2024. And so if you'd like to participate, sort of keep it on your radar screen, and we're going to do it. So I do have one more thing I want to do, and I am going to give away the $100. And so I don't have everyone's name in a hat like I normally do at the end of our events, but I can see, I think, everybody who's still here. And so here, this is what I did last year. So I see everybody, you're like tiles, you know how it works in like Zoom land, like everybody's like a little tile. I'm just going to close my eyes, and I'm going to just like randomly pick someone. And Eric Scudder, you can't win. And maybe if I pick somebody else who I don't want to win, you can't win either. I can make the rules, right? I can do that. But I'm not looking. I swear to God, I'm just going to like move my hand around, and I'm just going to stop on someone. And if it's lucky you, then you are going to win $100. Okay. And if I'm in the middle, I'm just going to do like the Price is Right thing and pick somebody. All right. Carol Fiore. Carol, you can't see this, but my finger is on your tile. So Carol, congratulations. I need to write that down because I'm not going to remember. You just won $100 courtesy of Joey Baird and Baird Automotive. So I am going to send you a check in the mail, because not that I don't trust the post office. I should, because I just mailed 1,000 packages to the post office, but I'm not going to send a $100 bill, but I will send you a check courtesy of Joey Baird. And Joey, thanks for supplying the $100. And I think that's everything. So thanks for participating. I hope you had a ton of fun. Thanks for being so supportive of HOMESTRETCH and of EX2 and of each other. And I hope to see you at a race maybe this year. We got 20 in-person races, and we're going to have a ton of fun. First one is less than a month. And so thanks, everybody. And I'm very grateful, and keep on being good to each other. Okay. See you later. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Eric.